Okay, we're live.
Okay.
And action.
My name is Mary Edwards Banks, and I attended the High School of Performing and Visual Arts from, I graduated in 1976 in drama.
Good.
How did you hear about the school, Mary?
Well, it was interesting because a neighbor of mine was actually planning to attend the school, and she was doing her audition and asked me at the time if I would come and sing the song that she was going to be performing to. So I was a part of her audition, and I was only in the 9th grade at that time. Sang, I can't even remember what I sang, but she ended up getting in the school, and I ended up getting the bug that said, I have got to go to this school. So that's how I became aware of the School of Performing Arts.
What was it like starting out at the school in your art area?
Very interesting, because I had never acted before in my life. Not in middle school or elementary or anything like that. I hadn't gone to any type of training like some of the other kids had. I just knew I wanted to be an actress, and I got the information about how I was going to have an audition, and I rehearsed for my audition, and when I got there and was accepted, I was really excited. So for me, it was a very positive experience because it was so unexpected.
Do you have influential teachers that affected you at the school?
I think the teacher that stands out is Madame Moorhead, because I love French. My father spoke French fluently, and I thought it was a lot of fun to be able to learn to speak it so I could speak to him when he was throwing out French phrases. In the past, I wouldn't have known what it meant, but because of Madame Moorhead, and she was such an excellent French teacher, it helped me a lot to learn from her. So that was one of the teachers that I really enjoyed learning from. And then, of course, Lady Catley was a very influential teacher. Really enjoyed taking English from her. I think it helped tremendously in terms of vocabulary and just literature. And I had such a strong love and affinity for languages and learning in that way. So I would say the two of them are probably the ones that stand out the most.
What's your favorite memory of attending HSPVA?
I will have a couple of them.
My favorite memories are.
Yeah, my favorite memory.
My favorite memory is performing in West Side Story. I loved that production. It was wonderful, and I was one of the Jets' girlfriends, and I just liked dancing and singing, and there was just so much about that production that I loved. It's a very favorite memory of mine. Another favorite memory of mine is watching Rebecca Pugh do an audition for Miss Blunt for some production that we were doing, and she had to sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And Gerald Gilmore, who we called Beaver at the time, was sitting in the audience with me, and we were supposed to be studying. In fact, we weren't even supposed to be in there. But we just had to hear Rebecca's audition, and so she's standing up there and she starts singing, and she gets off key. And I'm gonna sing it the way she sang it. It went like this: somewhere over the rainbow. And Beaver and I lost it because it was the funniest thing we had ever heard. And Miss Blunt was sitting there just, not amused because we were laughing in the back of the auditorium. And Rebecca stops in the middle of her song and goes, I'm sorry, Miss Blunt, wait a minute, I gotta start over. And by this time, Beaver and I were laying on the floor laughing. And for me, that is one of the funniest memories that I have about HSPVA, was just those kind of things occurring all the time, and it's just very special.
Tell us a little bit about what a happening is, or how the happening was important in the school.
Oh, I don't know how it might be today, but what made the happening unique back when I was in school at HSPVA was the fact that it really did just happen. It just felt as though we would just start something, like we would just kind of show up, and people would begin performing and dancing and doing and being very creative as artists. And I think that's where it probably got the term, the happening, because it just happened. Now, I would imagine today it's more, I guess, stylized, or maybe it's more orchestrated, but I don't recall it being orchestrated when I was a student. I just recall it happening.
How did HSPVA influence what you're doing now?
HSPVA influenced what I'm doing today a lot. In fact, I'm an executive coach, so I spend a lot of time working with people on leadership. And I also spend a lot of time training leaders on how to be effective. Well, one of the things that I noticed whenever I get ready to be in front of an audience, whether I'm speaking or training or facilitating, I will take 3 minutes by myself to get into what I call character. And what that means in my world is to decide I'm going to be confident, I'm going to portray a certain attribute that I want the leaders to be able to see and emulate, and I just needed time to get in that zone. And I learned that from HSPVA because we were required to do that before we went on stage. So imagine my surprise. One day I was doing a presentation to a group of leaders at a company that the company I was working for at that time had just purchased. And I had to go and make a presentation about benefits. I'm not sure what it was. But there was a person sitting there and was watching me very intently. And at the end of the presentation, she walked up to me and she said, "Where did you get your training from? Because you don't speak like other speakers that I've heard." And I said, "Well, it's interesting. I actually got my training when I was in high school." And she said, Where did you go to high school?" And I said, "To the School of Performing Arts." And she said, "Oh my gosh, I should have guessed it. I was a teacher there. And I recognized your way of pronunciating, how you used your diction, how you spoke from your diaphragm, all of that." She said, I knew it. This woman has had to have had some type of training. And here was a teacher that had been at HSPVA who had changed careers. So just having her recognize it helped me to know that something that I was planning to use as an actress has actually benefited me as a businesswoman because it makes me stand out and I'm distinct. And I think that has everything to do with HSPVA.